Where's Bill? Hello. Calling all you use, calling all you use. Go ahead. Okay. Good morning. What an array. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Stuart, Florida. Today is May 5th, 2024. My name is Pat Burt, and I am your worship associate today. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, ethnicities, ages, and backgrounds. We are also on YouTube. To be put on our email list, or to find out more information about us, go to our website at tcuuc.org. Note the email link to request our online Friday newsletter. Now is the time to silence your cell phones. Do we have any visitors today? This would be really special. This is not the time of year we have visitors. I don't see any unfamiliar faces. No, okay, maybe on YouTube? Please see the printed order of service and the newsletter for all upcoming events and their details. There are a couple of brief announcements. Today is the first Sunday of the month, and our new board president is reinstituting an old pattern of informal, brief congregational meetings. This will start about 15 minutes into our coffee hour after the service. We also always want to stress how much fun it is and how welcome you are to our first and third Tuesday brown bag lunches at Stuart Veterans Memorial Park downtown at noon. You'll find us behind the blue bandshell and the blue shuffleboard clubhouse. There's a special announcement also today given to me recently. This is a form that we're asking you to read and consider seriously and fill out and either leave on the credenza in Heston Hall or take with you and mail in. This is for the 2026 election, and it's the what number of times? How many times have we tried this?
Oh, I don't know, but it's been years since Obamacare.
Many, many years. This is to try to expand Medicaid coverage in the overly ungenerous state of Florida. Anyway, look for this in Heston Hall after the service. It's very important. It looks very much like the one many of us completed a year ago or so to get the abortion rights amendment on the ballot. And this is a similar thing for a similar reason, the right to have care as we request and need it. I think that may be it for special announcements. Of course, we always have coffee and snacks in our social hall after the service. A big thank you to those who helped with today's service. Jackie and Judy for the music. Kitty and Janet for greeting. Shari for putting a face to our orders of service. And of course, our tech elf, Karina Poloni, and our tech support, Rachel Valentino. Our hospitality team today consists of Joanne Leone and Juanita Martino. Our Rev Bob MacDonald is in the pulpit today, and here is our prelude. Thank you, Jackie. As Bob lights our chalice, please hear this combination of chalice lighting and opening words. These chalice lighting words will also be my opening words. The chalice lighting is an outward symbol of the light of our beloved community, but it should also be a reminder that we each embody light that can shine from within us and throw light toward those around us. For our first hymn, number 347, Gather the Spirit, you may stand if you're willing and able. All three verses. Please be seated. Let us recite our affirmation, speaking the first verse and singing the second. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Now here's Bob with our responsive reading.
Number 442 seemed to be in the spirit of things I have to say today. 442, we bid you welcome. We bid you welcome who come with weary spirits seeking rest. Come with troubles that are too much with you, who come hurt and afraid. We bid you welcome who come with hope in your heart, who come with anticipation in your step, who come proud and joyous. We bid you welcome who are seekers of a new faith, who come to probe and explore, who come to learn. We bid you welcome who enter this hall as a homecoming. We have found here room for your spirit, who find in this people a family. Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey, we bid you welcome. And now our matters of joy or sorrow, we invite you to share yours in the hope that you will know you have been heard and are supported. We ask that they be brief and personal, and not announcements. The first I'll mention, you may have seen, Rev Betts died this past week. Irv was 90. He was wanting to move on. Irv and Gail were really active here for most of the last 20 years or so. A Baptist minister, a Northern Baptist minister, with quite a list of accomplishments in his work life. But among us, he was an occasional pulpiteer and active in everything we did. So Irv knows we loved him. I was at his 90th a week or two ago, and we shared cake, but he was obviously ready to move on. A celebration of his life will be planned by his sons at Sand Hill Cove. Stan.
Hi, I'm Stan. There's something about formal attire that even makes people feel a little more grown up, and as a teacher, I get to see the kids grow up.
Here, move the mic up to you, Stan.
As a teacher, I get to see the kids grow up, and last night was Fort Pierce Central's prom night, and I got to see them all dressed up into the nines, and it was really interesting to see them as like budding adults.
Good morning. Stay. It is my joy to feel this is our family. It is my sorrow that I am still in recovery from a traumatic brain injury 4 years ago. However, it is my joy that because of our program, I noticed a Tai Chi class and a yoga class were offered here, and I'd been looking for them for a long time. And because of those two classes, I've only been in them for, well, as long as I've been here, 2 months, I can now get up off the floor without having to have a chair or something, because when you get into your 80s, things can change. If we, that old saying, use it or lose it, well, I'd lost it. And I got it back. Thank goodness for those classes, and join me because they're fabulous.
Hello, I'm Pam Corbin. I've been missing from church because I've been traveling. I went to Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka. Those of you who want to put down this country, I would like to talk to you about ADA. This is the only country that is consistent about ADA, and if you want to travel and you're looking for a ramp, forget it. But I'm very grateful that these laws are here in this country, and I did have a good time. Thank
Anyone else? Yeah. Go ahead, Jackie, and then Linda will follow you.
I have a joy, which is that I had this hiding in my closet. The cat was sleeping on it for a couple of years, and I happened to have it around because I'm so busy that my cello was elsewhere, and I did not have time to pick up my own cello. I mean, I own this cello, but you will notice a difference in the quality of sound. But it's still playing, even with the cracks and the Hall of Fame signature.
Thank you, Jackie. Linda.
Hi, I'm Linda Shuey. Usually I just say Joyce, but we have a sorrow this week. My son-in-law's mom, Diana, passed away a week ago on the 27th. She was very, very sick, so it was kind of a blessing. But she was only 83, only. And so we're flying up. We're flying into Asheville, actually, on Tuesday, and we'll have a big celebration of life. They know a lot of people in the Brevard area. And the kind of happy side of that is our grandson, who's in the Navy, is going to be able to come back for, apparently it's just, for grandparents it's not for sure, but the American Red Cross contacted them. And right now he is actually out to sea, his first time on the carrier, and we all are a little nervous that he's working on the nuclear reactor. This is a kid who didn't take college seriously, but he really loves the Navy. He's very excited. He's on Carl Vinson in San Diego, and they're out to sea right now, and he's going to be able to come up next week. Thank you.
Anyone else? Pat?
This is my first time coming up here.
I just wanted to let you know that these pants, every time I wear them, I think of Ann Navarro because she has a sofa exactly like this. So today I'm Ann.
Anyone else? Well, I need to tell you about my wife, Lori, and I'll tell you to start, she's fine and home. It was obvious on Monday that she had had some kind of a stroke. It took me a day to get her to the ER with the help of a nurse from her doctor's group who told me that she was calling her right in and they would be waiting for her. So anyhow, they did determine that she had a minor stroke, and she's talking and walking a little slower, but she's talking and walking and getting her strength back, and we're going to follow the doctor's advice and trust that she'll be fine. And I'm happy to be able to tell you that she seems finer than she did on Monday, for sure. And we always, yeah, that's really a joy, yes. We move one for people we haven't said out loud, but we always have more people than we say out loud that we worry about and hope the best for. This is for them. And now the meditation is this from the back of the hymnal by Barbara Wells. O spinner, weaver of our lives, your loom is love. May we who are gathered here be empowered by that love to weave new patterns of truth and justice into a web of life that is strong, beautiful, and everlasting. Barbara Wells. And now moments of silence. Spirit of Life, 123. We hum it, we sing it. You may sit or stand, your you-yous. Church is a place where hopefully you experience a giving spirit, and church is a place where we need you to have a giving spirit. And now the morning offering will be received by 2 willing volunteers. Who may they be? Oh, here they are. My sermon will be briefer this morning, and I explained a few minutes ago why. But before I get into my topic, I want to say a few words about the United Methodist Church. You no doubt have heard the news this week that their international organization called General Conference finally inked the new chapter for the Methodist Church. Some of you may know that back in 1968, the Methodist Church merged with the Evangelical United Brethren in generally a much more conservative denomination. And we can't say that that's the reason the Methodist Church went in the direction it went relative to what I'm going to talk about for just a moment, but that influenced it. I knew as a student minister in West Virginia, there were people who were kicked out of the Methodist Church and couldn't be in the pulpits and they immediately became what we called EUBs. And then a few years later, what are you saying?
Eternal ugly buggers, we call them.
I thought I was hearing an echo, but it was just the spirit of Pat.
Methodist.
It kind of brought the Methodist Church to a called united but more conservative place. Anyhow, and then in '72, it inked social principles that called homosexuality incompatible with Scripture. And gays were not allowed to be ordained, although I knew a number. I had close friends who were gay and ordained, but closeted. It really made for a terrible history and a lot of fighting within the Methodist Church. So finally, 25% of Methodist churches have left because of the redeciding this, and now homosexuals are not called incompatible, they're called people, just like heterosexual people are called people. And gays can be clergy and married and all that. The Methodist Church belatedly got around to this, but I personally was hoping before my time came that it would not be the only denomination right up there with the Roman Catholics and the Southern Baptists. All right, I won't say more about that. But anyhow, any gay people here, I want you to know you are not incompatible with Scripture. Man. I want to tell you about my first Methodist church in the New York Conference, where I was called for 2 years Dick. This is my 2 years being called Dick. I wanted this assignment. It was the associate minister in Floral Park, which is on the Nassau-Queens border, a really beautiful village. I'm thinking in the 70s, no doubt still is. The minister there was prominent, and someone had said to him that I would make a good assistant minister, and he hired me, and the church proceeded to hire me. The church was in the shadow of Belmont Racetrack. Methodists don't gamble. I don't know if you knew that, but they don't gamble. And ministers don't gamble in public. So we had a janitor in the church who was Roman Catholic, and he came around to us often and said, "Do you have a little money that you would like to see grow? Because I'm going to the track." And I didn't want to offend him, so I had a little money that grew, but not by a lot. So while I was there, I discovered that the senior minister, the wonderful guy I was working under, assistant to, his 3 previous associate ministers had been Dick or Richard. Now, whenever I say Dick or Richard, I think of Richard Granat, because I said to him, "Richard, are you Richard or are you Dick?" And he says, "Well, I really like being called Dick, but then my grandson started playing with that name, and I thought I better go by Richard." So anyhow, my senior minister, who was a wonderful man, for 2.5 years called me Dick. And I knew why, and it was okay. And I didn't know about the line, "What about Bob?" But anyhow, at several committee meetings which we attended together, he would say, "Well, does Dick have any light to share on this?" And yeah, I had thoughts, and that was my moment. So anyhow, I met Dick, one of the Dicks that I was named for, the long-term associate that he loved as his favorite of all his associates. I met him because he was retired in one of my Connecticut communities toward the end of my career. When I learned that, I pursued a collegial connection with him. I love meeting retired ministers in the area of my congregation. I could put them to work. Incidentally, for a while, a dozen years ago here, we had 6 or 7 retired ministers, 3 other Methodists, my buddy George, Wendell, and a guy from Ohio named Al. I heard somebody say there's an infestation of retired Methodist ministers here. But we also had Irv, and of course Dave Tarbell, and another retired UU who attended for a while. I had to digress because I really like having a group of clergy. Now the only person I can pick on, well, I won't single him out, he's here. Back to my new friend Dick in Connecticut. He started greeting me with, when we met for lunch or coffee, he started greeting me with, "Who loves you, baby?" Now, he was a fairly straight arrow looking kind of guy, more so than I've ever been, and it didn't seem to fit with him. So he got those words right out of Lieutenant Kojak, Sans, Bald Head, and Lollipop. So I had to ask him what that TV cop greeting meant to him. He said he knew a lot of people who struggle their whole lives to be able to answer that in a positive way. Who loves you, baby? And that part of that answer, part of it has to be you. Self-respect doesn't happen without self-love. Now, I thought of that when I listened to Truman's sermon a few weeks ago. Touched by his sermon, the image of him as a child and youth feeling orphaned, and wondering if that was part of his motivation for becoming a minister. I wanted to hug him, but he had brought his hugger with him, Carol. We can be defined by early hurts, deficits. You can spend your whole life trying to learn, needing to learn that you are lovable and loved. And until you learn that, you may be blocking that from happening. So you hopefully learn who loves you, baby, to love yourself. You have to learn to love yourself. And you have to learn to define yourself, because others will. If you haven't struggled with addictions or known people who have, who hasn't, known people and been people who struggled with addiction, then you know self-respect hasn't been in the picture, but can be at any age. Truman mentioned in that sermon, and I have, Jesus said the first great commandment is loving God first, and the second is love others as you love yourself. Love others as you love yourself. I haven't had time to go shopping to replace this, but it's going to be happening soon. Why hasn't church done a better job of teaching us to love ourselves? We were taught, don't be selfish. I have told you that when I asked for sermon topics in the 70s, one of my leaders asked me to do a sermon on her favorite sermon she remembered from her youth. She had heard as a kid at camp from her favorite minister growing up. The topic was, I am third. Always put yourself last. I couldn't do a sermon on that unless my topic was religion's contribution to unhealth. So who taught you self-love? Who taught you healthy self-love? So, compassion. what Karen Armstrong says religions learned millennia ago as the heart of religion and the heart of deity. Compassion means feeling for others and, hopefully, feeling for self. Now, the churches I've known have not been great on either score. Either score. Now, this is a little digression, but I can't help myself. Since the Holocaust and murder of 6 million Jews, the West, the U.S., have been supportive of a Jewish homeland, Israel. And the West and the U.S. have forgotten the other indigenous people of that land, the Palestinians. Hamas has worsened that forgetting by murdering 1,000+ Israelis. And the count of Palestinians I'm hearing is up to 34,000, mostly women and children, non-military. Now, the students in the U.S. and around the world, even the badly behaving ones, are saying we can't continue to be part of that killing. We have had and have compassion for the Israeli homeland. We honestly haven't for the other indigenous people there. That has to change. A difference now might be the rich Arab states have also looked away, but now they can't if they want to normalize with Israel. And that's what my main advisor, the good Jewish writer, commentator Thomas Friedman, says is what they want to do. They want to normalize with Israel for economic opportunity. And that requires the two-state solution, one for Israel and one for Palestine. Now, Friedman isn't really my advisor, but I think he has the best plan. I wish more people listened to. All right, that's the end of that digression. So self-care is always important, and increasingly as we age. A number of my friends, when I ask them what are they doing to stay active, they respond, "We visit doctors." You can't do as much as you used to, and it's frustrating not to be able to. But it's a good thing to want to do more than you can do. Frustrating and a good thing. Man's reach should exceed his grasp. You know Robert Browning's line. Which brings to mind, how active and activist can we TCUUCers be? UU historically has been big on abolition in the 1800s, civil rights and voting rights in the 1900s. UU nationally and locally still are. You know, we got a committee going a couple months ago called the 2034 Committee, meaning what can we do to ensure that we are alive and well and still growing 10 years from now, 2034. One of the UUA leaders told Truman we have to focus on what we are doing well and not on what we can't do. Focus on who's coming, not on who's not coming. Connecting with each other is something we want to do better. And especially after COVID, we have to do better. So these table gatherings, which have begun well, will help us make that happen. And we can widen the circle by joining others who are like-minded. We had some event here last Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. It was advertised as to combat the 2025 project, which is underway to limit, if not stamp out, democracy in America. So we had 75 people here. mostly humanists, Unitarians, Unity, and Democrats. Now, some of those people wore, hats from different groups, but those are the 4 distinct groups. I hope we had Republicans and independents too. That group that met last week is organizing to defeat the 2025 project, to do what we can. When you get together with other groups, you hear things that may not speak to or speak for you, but you are promoting things you agree on, and we can't work on alone. We all agree on voting rights, women's rights, democracy, and the earth, and probably a few others that I'm not thinking of right now. Things we can't lose and still be America. Now, I've discovered UUs have a lot of passions. Wouldn't you agree with that? UUs have a lot of passions. I could ask you, tell me what your passion is, but if I ask you that, you'll probably get up and tell me. So I'm not going to ask you. But we hear drum beats. We hear different drum beats, and we don't all hear them with the same force. There has been as universal agreement as we can get that racism is not behind us. The best we can do is not kid ourselves and call it out. And anti-Semitism, ditto, ditto, ditto. Before the October 7 attack, it was on the rise then. It is on the rise now. It has been a resilient virus as long as there have been Jews. All right, maybe I've wandered far from who loves you, baby? Who loves you, baby? Self-love and self-respect are always important. If you believe in yourself, you know you've got things to share. You've got ears and a voice. Nobody else has your combination to hear and to speak what truth you have found and what truth you are looking for. 360, here we have gathered. Rise if willing and able, or seat, whichever. Sit. But in the shadow Please be seated. Remember that after our service, our coffee hour abbreviated a bit to have our first Sunday meeting, and that is a time to listen and learn from each other. And Tia will be all ears, won't you? We all. I wasn't suggesting anything, but I hope you will be guided as you go by these closing words. And you can extinguish, ma'am. These are by Edward Everett Hale. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. Edward Everett Hale.